Hey everybody, this is Jilla, and welcome to a new thing that I am doing since I have started my new studio in Nashville and my new thing, Embodied You, working with the Alexander technique in body and mind, how it all works together to make you healthy and give you freedom and ease of movement. I decided that I wanted to branch out and talk a little bit more about health and fitness since as some of you knew or know, I grew up as a dancer. I was a Pilates instructor. I was a certified personal trainer. And again, now I'm studying to certify to be a certified Alexander teacher. And so body and mind and the combination, the unity of the two have always been really important to me. I've always been physically fit, and my focus has been on health and strength, especially now as I'm aging, as I'm getting older and wiser, hopefully. I'm really trying to focus on being healthy, being the best that I can be. And so I want to include podcasts about this. I will talk to some experts and some people in the field and just other people that are doing some amazing things. But I thought where I would start with this is my journey back to health. 14 months ago now, I got COVID. And I have been struggling with long COVID symptoms. I have been over the last 14 months to every doctor known to man, and I have been pretty much a human pincushion. But I think part of the reason that you want to go to doctors is to help you rule out having anything else, like to really give a diagnosis, because there is no clear way to diagnose long COVID. So sometimes you have to go and rule other things out, and then what's left is long COVID. So what I thought I would do is tell you a little bit about my journey. Maybe it will help if anyone else is going through this, just to hear that there's another voice out here that is going through the same thing. I'll try and let you know a few things that I'm doing that have seemed to help. But overall, this is just a really, really long process. My cat just ran out of the room as I dropped something. And it can be really frustrating. It can feel very lonely at times, and it can be just really hard to deal with. One day you feel okay, and then the next day you wake up and you are hurting and you can't move, and you didn't do anything, and you don't know why. It's really real if you're going through it, and it's also very frustrating because it hits so many people in different ways. And so there isn't one real way, one real thing that you can point to. So if you do have this, like I said, I would really highly recommend go see an internist or your doctor and see if they can provide you some guidance on this. I'm not going to tell you the specific protocol of what I'm taking because every body is different and this affects people differently. But what I will tell you is some of the things that I'm doing, how to handle some of the symptoms and how to manage those and make them better. Because it's really been a big change in my lifestyle. If you know me, you know that I am very type A and go, and my workouts, they used to tease me and call me severe. My workouts have always been really high intensity, and now when I have, since I've had COVID, I'm lucky to do a light walk some days. I'm lucky to get in 10 minutes of anything before I have to lay down. So let me just start sort of at the beginning and tell you a little bit about that. Again, I'm at 14 months now, so I feel like I'm starting to get better. One of the big things that was turned up for me was this issue of blood clots, right? So part of what COVID does is it creates these little micro clots, right? The spike protein changes your soluble clotting protein into something that's more insoluble. And people that don't have the genetic predisposition that I have, which was another cool thing that I found out about myself, I now am taking a protocol to help help my body get rid of these clots. But some people, after a couple of weeks, just break them down and they go back to normal. I do not. I have, like I said, a genetic predisposition, and so that does not happen with me. So here are some things, here are some doctors and some things that I went through that have, just been going on over the past year or so. My breathing changed, right? And I'm a singer. So having to deal with that and having to not have the breath support that I used to have has been really difficult for me to deal with. So I went to a pulmonologist, and it was actually during a CT scan for my GI issues that we found that part of my right lung is collapsed now since COVID, and that never was the case before. So I don't smoke, never have. Did work in smoky bars, but I take really good care not to be in that environment. I don't vape. I, am careful about allergies and all of that kind of stuff. So that was really interesting, and being able to go to the pulmonologist. And I've done a lot of work through Alexander stuff and really just breathing exercises. I do try and get outside and do a lot of my breathing exercises while I walk. And if you're interested, DM me and I can send you a link to some of the breathing exercises that I do specifically. I have a YouTube channel, and you can go visit that, and there's some breathing exercises on that. But that's really, I think, helped me a lot to really come back and make sure that my body is inhaling fully, and even maybe more important is exhaling fully and getting my lungs to work appropriately. So that's really good. As far as the exercise, this has been a really big and frustrating thing for me in my life because, as I said, and it's partially the breathing, right? I mean, I get winded easily. Sometimes walking up a stairs will just take the wind right out of me. There's this thing called post-exertional malaise. Sounds not as bad as it really is. PEM, they call it. And a lot of the literature and the websites, if you read about this, it says, oh, you may have an energy crash or feel fatigue or brain fog or muscle pain after exercise. That all sounds like you can deal with it. Fatigue, I went from being able to work all day, every day, get up the next day, feel great, to I would go out on a 15-minute walk, and I would come back and I would think, you know what, I'm just going to sit down for a second here. And I would sit down and I would think, man, I just need to lay down. And then it would be like, I'm going to go to sleep right now. And I would sleep for 3 or 4 hours. This is after a full night of sleep the night before. I am getting better, I can tell you. I'm getting better. I can walk longer some days. Some days I still have to come home and nap. Just the other day I came home and I took a 2-hour nap after I decided to push myself a little bit longer than I have been, and it wore me out. But overall, I am getting back to being able to walk longer. I am getting able to lift a little bit of weight with more repetition and a little bit heavier weight. So I am going back to some of the strength training. But overall, it's been a real challenge for me not to be able to do what I normally do. I tried to do some high intensity work a couple of times, and that pretty much knocked me out for 3 or 4 days. Again, I'm at 14 months dealing with this, so it's been a long journey. So, when I get to the end of this, I'll give you my new program and tell you what I'm doing. Neurologically, Headaches, my headaches have been worse. Muscle pain. Muscle pain is really weird. I never really experienced it before for no reason, but sometimes I just wake up and I am stiff. My joints are stiff. My muscles are hurting. I've never had this before. So this is just something that happens sometimes with this disease, with this long haul COVID. And again, it's something that I just am learning to deal with and accepting as a part of where I am right now in life. Memory is, of course, one of those things that everybody talks about, and for me, it's really been affected. My memory recall, the brain fog, like trying to find words or trying to focus on something, has been extremely difficult for me over these past 14 months. But I continue to take things in smaller chunks, and I continue to, like, I'll take breaks more often, and I'll get up and I'll walk around. Maybe I'll stretch. Maybe I'll get my blood moving. Like I said, I'll at the end of this, I'll tell you all the things that I'm doing for this. Another area that happened to me and also to many people with long COVID is GI problems, right? So bloating, constipation, diarrhea, vomiting. I went through, well, still I'm having to write down all my food things in a diary to make sure I know what I'm eating that's upsetting me and what's giving me symptoms and what's causing me all of this stuff. Still, this is 8 months later. It started in January. It got really bad. And of course, again, part of the reason that you see these doctors is I went to my GI and I had all the tests, the endoscopy and colonoscopy, because you want to rule out GERD, you want to rule out a peptic ulcer, you want to rule out celiac, all of these things, because again, my lab work was all off, so they didn't know what I had. And having those labs done frequently while you're going through this to see the changes that are happening is really, really important. And there's no way to do that without medical testing. So again, I'm in month 8 of that. And the other thing that happened again to me is that there were cardiac issues. That was the first thing that happened to me. And from June through December, I was having all sorts of cardiac episodes, and they couldn't really figure it out. By the time I had gotten myself in to see somebody and run all the tests, it was getting better. But I had what they thought maybe was POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia. So when you either lie down or stand up, you'll get dizzy, your heart will go into palpitations, you can get tachycardic, you could have myocarditis, inflammation of the heart, cardiomyopathy, arrhythmia. All of these things were happening and they just didn't know why. They couldn't find an answer for me. And again, reason to be tested is because you want to rule out all the other stuff, right? So I did all of these things, and it's just been a very, very long road. It's been a very long road. And again, there's a lot of people just don't understand it. The doctors are doing better, but they haven't really, there's no real cure for this. Like, you can't take a pill and then just get over it. So a few things that I have learned to do that really helped me. With the GI stuff, again, what I do is I do a food diary. I write down what I eat. Sometimes I do the calories, sometimes I don't. But I do that because I also write how I'm feeling, right? I want to know how this food made me feel. And if I am, at the end of the week, if I've had a few days that have had gastral, distress, I can look back and say, okay, what did I eat this week that was consistent every day or every other day? And I can try and drop something. So it's been a long just figuring out of what is affecting me and what isn't affecting me. And just like my cardiac issues, it's different. And it might be different one day, and then the next day it might be bad again. But I'm starting to learn what the triggers are, and I'm starting to learn in what amounts I can eat things, at what times I can eat things, and how much of something I can actually tolerate before my stomach, just goes haywire, right? As far as the workouts, this has been really tough. I put on another thing that happens with COVID people, I think for probably a couple of reasons, is weight gain, right? One of the things that happened to me is I basically have not been able to work out for 14 months. And I am a stress eater. So it doesn't surprise me that I have put on weight with this. It's also more difficult to get the weight off with long COVID. And a woman of my age, I've also had perimenopause symptoms. So this has just been an issue. And where I have to realize is that there are internal things going on in my body that I have to respect. I have to respect that if I push myself, I may be doing damage that I cannot reverse. So what I am doing is trying to move every day. And I have just taken a giant step back and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to walk in the morning. And if I can, again, if I A, have the time, and B, have the energy, I'm going to walk for a short distance at night. And sometimes that is around the block. And I'm like, yay, I have walked around the block at night. I've done something rather than just sitting on the couch. If I can do 5 minutes, I have an exercise bike in my house. If I can do 5 minutes on the bike just to get some circulation and to get some things in my body flowing, to get some breathing happening, I'll go out and I'll do some breathing exercises. So I have this exercise where I count my steps. I'll inhale for 4 counts. I'll hold my breath for 16 counts. I'll exhale for 8 counts. And then I hold with no air for another 4. And then I repeat it if I can, right? And I haven't been able to do this. Sometimes I just breathe in for 4 and out for 4. In for 4, out for 4. And use my steps as counts. So I really try and get out there and do multiple things at once. Get my blood moving, get my muscles going again. And really I have had to this has been the biggest thing, is to just radically accept where I am right now. And to know that things change, right? So my trajectory has been looking better. So I hope that it will continue that way, and I will be easy with myself, and I will give myself some grace when I can't, on those days when I get out of bed and I hurt now, where I never used to have that. I will understand that rest is what I need that day, and I will do the best I can maybe tomorrow. I'm trying to do some movement every day, whether that is stretching, and even if that is 5 minutes, just to move my body so that I'm not just completely sitting on the couch. And by the way, just completely sitting on the couch was what I did for the first, I would say, 9 months of this. There was no exercise at all. I tried a couple of times, and like I said, I was then asleep and in bed for 4 days. So it has become better, and I hopefully am seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. So I think, the thing is to do the food journal. The other thing for me with the GI stuff is I was very dehydrated. So a couple of things, if you can tolerate salt, a couple of things that I really liked during this process. One was called Salt Stick, and they come in little tablets, so you can take them with you, and they're like an electrolyte. So it's like having Gatorade in a tablet that just melts in your mouth. So that was really great for me to be able to take with me, and I still do that. I like Element, LMNT. It's a drink that you mix in with your water. They are not sponsoring me in any way. I just really like their product. I also like it because it's sugar-free, and I'm trying to really watch that I don't put a lot of extra sugar into my body and create inflammation that is, not welcome by me and my body. So I like their mix, their drink mix. Liquid IV is great, but that does have sugar. They do have a sugar-free mix now, but I don't know enough about allulose. So again, the reason I like Element is because they have stevia, and I feel pretty good about stevia at this point. That's just me, not a doctor, not a nutritionist. I'm just saying what is working with me. So those things are really important for me not to be dehydrated. So especially if you live in a warm climate, and at this point, it seems like we all live in a warm climate. So watch the dehydration, get plenty of water, get plenty of rest. I mean, sometimes, again, it's just a change, and I have to respect my body. I have to know that things are going on with me internally that I can't necessarily see, and I have to respect that. And so if I am tired early in the evening and I'm like, you know what, that's it, I'm done, I have to respect being done. And I have to be okay with, all right, again, radically accepting where I am right now in this moment. I can wish it would be different, but it isn't. And if I just focus on wanting something that I don't have, I'm going to be miserable. So my thing is, I'm just going to say, okay, this is what it is. What is the best thing I can do for myself in this moment? And that might be to just lay down or to just stop working. You know, if I'm working on writing something, I might have to take 2 or 3 or 4 breaks and get up and pause to be able to come back and focus. I can't sit for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours like I used to sit and focus and read and study and research. I don't have it. I'm hoping that it comes back because, it's something I enjoy doing. But I have to find ways right now to keep going, but to do it gently and to give myself permission to do that, to be easier with myself and just know, again, this is something that has really happened to me, and it may not be something that I can see on the outside, but that doesn't mean it's real. I can feel it's real, and I have to respect it's real and do the best I can. So, again, food journal. I would exercise less, take everything to a quarter or less of what you would normally do, and be okay with that, and just build up slowly. I mean, literally, maybe it's 3 minutes more. Maybe that's the build, is that today I walk 3 minutes more than I did yesterday or last week. And you know what? If you can't, that's okay too. If you can do anything, I think you're helping yourself get better and helping move this through your body. So I hope this has helped in any way. If there is anyone out there that's going through this, just know there is somebody else on the other side of this microphone who is daily dealing with this as well. And it is my intention to keep going, and I'm going to keep posting podcasts and talking with people about this, because I don't think this is going away. I think we need to deal with it, and I think we need to be respectful of the process of getting over this. Again, just because it's not seen doesn't mean it's not real, and we have to learn to support people in this process, and it can be long and it can be frustrating. I know that anxiety and depression go along with this because it's just, again, such a change in lifestyle. But if we are watching this, and I think all of us, singers or non-singers, musicians, whoever you are, taking care of yourself and having a good health span maybe changing the idea of a lifespan to a health span, and being healthy and being at the best possible place that you can be. So I'm going to start talking about more of this. I would love to hear from you. Hit like and subscribe, please, on my YouTube channel or wherever you're listening to this, and let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like me to chat with you about, or guests that you'd like me to have on. I would love to start a conversation about health and getting better and getting over, especially this long COVID. It's something that a lot of us are dealing with now, and I'm in there with you, and I'm going to keep doing my best every day, and I'd love to be a voice for good things happening around this this thing that has happened to a lot of us. So thanks again for listening, and I will see you next time.